Regarding the feeling of heartbeat, I think most people are familiar with it. The male instinct will reject women over 50 years old. The female instinct will also reject men over 50 years old, because this is a protective mechanism written into human DNA. This is related to ancestors, and the issue of the union of offspring is not mandatory. In the genes, people will start to age and degenerate after a certain age. According to the laws of nature, it is Taoism. The elimination is not conducive to reproduction and evolution, so there is a behavior of rejection. This is the choice of the body. The choice of genes has nothing to do with personal will. So naturally, young and energetic members of the opposite sex become the primary condition. When you are close, you will feel your body is heating up and your heart is beating. The accelerated will is in a trance. This is a sign of excessive secretion of hormones. You are right. Put to no criteria for choosing a mate, whether it is appearance, body, material conditions, etc. In fact, the fundamental reason is the needs of your DNA, and the so-called personal will is only serving it. Therefore, the control of your body has never been in your hands, but in the hands of your genes. It controls the direction of your evolution, your choice of behavior, and all actions of us feel that this body belongs to us. In fact, personal will is just an accessory produced under this huge, orderly biological structure. This is for better evolution and development. I think most people have doubts about the generation of will. When a child is born and the information he receives is basically zero, then according to normal logic, the newborn baby will not be able to do anything, but the opposite is true. A child will cry, demand food, and perform some basic expressive behaviors. Wouldn't it be contrary to logic to say that these behaviors are under the control of his personal will? If this series of behaviors were attributed to the survival instinct controlled by genes, wouldn't it feel like there wouldn't be much conflict? As the brain grows, the more information it receives, the more self-awareness it generates. It is like a program architecture. As more code is written, it begins to grow and evolve. For living things, it will eventually develop self-awareness. For machines, it is artificial intelligence. So will the underlying logic change? This is definitely accompanied by evolution in order to accelerate evolution. When technology reaches a certain level, such intervention is inevitable. Then we will jointly assist the laws of nature to change the direction of our own evolution. Then it is inferred that the basis for the emergence of consciousness is our fundamental DNA in order to survive. They need to understand the world more and more deeply, so they have evolved information, gathering organs such as eyes, ears, nose, and tongue. These are without exception their greatest use. It is used to perceive the world and then simulate the things it can recognize through the processing of the brain. You can imagine how important information is to evolution. Only by mastering enough information can you quench faster and more beneficial evolution for yourself. Direction according to the theory of evolution. All living things evolved from the original single cells. At that time, they did not have nervous systems and brains and simply captured energy molecules such as sugar around them. To survive and maintain internal stability, over time some cells invented structures that can capture solar energy. They can use carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to synthesize sugar and release oxygen. This provides the basis for subsequent complex life forms. When cells absorb substances as time goes by, the internal structure becomes more and more unstable and unable to adapt to external conditions. Those cells invented precise replication, which is the famous double helix structure. This structure was created by two biological creatures, Francis Crick and James Watson, and discovered a new era in biology in 2005 and won the Nobel Prize for it. Then the real evolution began. For example, when you start to do a math problem for the first time, it will definitely be slow and error. prun. But when you have done this question countless times, you will not only be able to get the answer accurately and quickly, but you will also vaguely discover that this question seems to have a faster and simpler solution. As the number of repetitions increases, the solution will become increasingly clear for cells as the continuous self-replication over time will slowly make itself more adaptable to the environment, easier to survive, and easier to evolve. At the same time, two important evolutionary processes will occur: Kashef and cooperation. When organelles with different development directions fuse, a single organism will be formed. This is the origin of symbiosis. As more and more cells make up an organism, the nervous system evolved. Just like, if you want to get rich, build a road first. The early nervous system used neurons to control the evolution and danger response of the organism through sensing cells. But this kind, the simple nervous system, is only suitable for small organisms, facing the more complex behavioral needs of large organisms. They are weak, so they gather nerve cells to form ganglia. The ganglia near the front slowly evolve into a unified management system, responsible for management. The management system of other ganglia is the brain. It is not that the brain is there from the beginning, but genes. In order to evolve, this is the need of genes. Since the brain has the coordinating role of the organism, what controls the brain? From the above, we can see that the reaction actions of organisms are a reaction mechanism for the brain to process external information, allowing the organisms to perform behaviors suitable for their own survival and evolution, avoiding dangers, etc. In other words, the organisms are not controlled by their will. For example, when you are the behaviors you do when you are hungry and want to eat, such as cooking and ordering takeout, really under your personal control? Or is this just the survival response mechanism of the organism itself? From this point of view, it is very likely that artificial intelligence will eventually produce consciousness. It is this reason that gives us a strong desire to control and possessiveness. Subconsciously, we are instinctively aware of our own situation, and then we have all kinds of wants. The desire to gain is to prove one's own worth. Do you think these behaviors are controlled by the self? Perhaps this is also under the control of genes. Think about it. What is inseparable from human development and progress? Is it just desire? If you want more, then technology will have the driving force and direction to move forward. Military, agriculture, biology, etc. These fields are all human needs. The military was originally to resist the invasion of other species. What Gene didn't expect was that the internal fighting was very fierce. This was not the case. It may also be under its control because the more intense the internal competition, the faster the development will be. Those with insufficient strength will be eliminated. Only in the future will it be possible to withstand greater impacts. The acceleration of science and technology will allow us to break away from the shackles of nature and prepare for complete isolation from the environment. Various signs indicate that genes are also affected by other factors, so they try their best to get rid of them. I think this is the law of nature. Everything produced under the rules is affected and controlled by it. It has formulated detailed rules for these things. Within the rules, you can singing and dancing rap at will, but unable to step out of this box. It seems that our genes also have a sense of worry.